What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the Blazers Uprise post-game show here on a Sunday afternoon. The Blazers get their three-game winning streak snapped as they lose the final game of their five-game road trip in Denver against the Nuggets, 128-112. The Blazers now fall back to ninth in the Western Conference after a hot start from Donovan Clingan, who started 4 for 4 from three. The Blazers were able to keep up in the first quarter. But after a hot-scoring first half for the Nuggets, the Blazers could not keep up with Denver in this game as Denver continues to have their number and the Blazers defense continues to struggle to contain them. Hopefully you guys are having a great weekend. Thank you for joining us. Leave a like on the stream. Subscribe if you're new to the channel. Eric, what's going on, man? Another Sunday bummer. I feel like we lose every Sunday game, or every weekend game in general, man. I don't like having games on Sundays, and I think a big part of the reason is that a lot of the post-game shows are after games like this.
Yeah, I wonder how true that is, if it's just a feeling or someone's got to go back and look for us.
Yeah, but lots to break down from this game. Want to have some bigger conversations about roster construction on this stream, so that's going to be fun. We've had plenty of conversations about roster construction, but I thought there was just a glaring thing in this game. But first off, man, hopefully you're having a good weekend as well. What are your thoughts from this one? The Blazers looked like they might be able to be competitive in that first half, but the offense, once again, in the second half, completely falls off a cliff. 69 points in the first half for Portland, only 43 in the second half. So once again, it seems like teams are able to adjust to whatever Portland's doing in the first half, and the Blazers have had some abysmal second halves after starting hot. You know, earlier in the season it was the Blazers are starting slow. They don't look like they're ready to play. Now it's kind of been the opposite lately, where the Blazers have great first halves. Donovan Clingan has 3 straight games where he's had a great first half and then kind of went quiet in the second half. Scoot Henderson had that stretch where he was having phenomenal first halves and then going quiet in the second half. And it's kind of been different than it was earlier in the year, where the Blazers start hot, the Blazers start competitive, and then they just slowly fall off a cliff offensively. And whoever was going in the first half can't do anything in the second half. So I guess my first question to lead things off here is, how much of that do you think is Portland going away from what's working? How much of that is the opposing team trying to take away from what's working for Portland in first halves? Because it's been a night and day difference, the team that we see offensively in the first half lately compared to the second half.
Well, you mentioned this maybe like 2 weeks ago that when Donovan hits a couple threes early, that seems to be the only times we get off to good starts. And, of course, he hits 4 in a row to start this game. And we couldn't play any defense, so it didn't really matter, I guess. But I think this ties in, Tori, to your roster thing you're going to talk about later. Because, to me, it's – the Blazers have had some extremely hot shooting quarters in the first half lately, and it's just not sustainable with the personnel they have on their roster, right? It's just they're not going to shoot the way they did in that first quarter for an entire game. And when you don't make any adjustments and you don't have any kind of offense to fall back on when those threes aren't falling, other than put your head down and try to get a bucket. But the problem is, there was a point in the second half where we had 3 different players, Drew Holiday, then Scoot, then Denny, all drive ISO, turn the ball over, and no one got back on defense, and they got 3 straight transition easy dunks or lay-ins. And the offense is either hit 3-point shots with personnel that you have to have shooting above what they're capable of doing in order for that to work and look good, or you have to have these guys be able to penetrate or get to the foul line, things like that. And when teams are capable of slowing either of those things down, what counter do we have? I still have yet to see it. And I do want to talk about this at some point, but I heard the interview with Thiago before the game. I don't know if you caught that prior to this game. A lot of you are probably watching March Madness. But Thiago said some things, and I was just immediately like, this guy does not get it. He is not going to be a good coach with that kind of mindset. And it led into a lot of the themes that we've been talking about this season.
You got to share with us because I missed it, and I'm very curious.
He said the Blazers' success lately was because the defense has been playing great lately. And then he mentioned how good the offense has been playing since Denny came back. And he said both of those things are like basically rolling right now. And I was just like, what? Like, what are you talking about? Like, yes, we won 3 games in a row, but like we're playing bottom feeder teams or teams that are missing players. And the offense hasn't been great for a while outside of, like we talked about when they're just happened to be making threes and stuff like that. And so I did not get the coach mindset about just talking about how great his offense and defense has been the last like 15 games or so. And I was like, are you kidding me? That's your attitude, that the offense has been great and that it's like rolling right now? Like, what? What are you talking about?
When every single game we celebrate the fact that, we only got 17 turnovers in this game.
I don't want to kill Lamar either, but this might have just been him misspeaking. But he actually said at halftime of this game that the Blazers played tremendous defense in the first half and that they were flying around. And I was like, what are you talking about, dude? Like, did you just like mean to say something else? But like that totally did not happen. I don't know what game you were watching.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a weird experience right now being a Blazer fan, listening to the coach speak, listening to the broadcast sometimes, because to me, occasionally it feels like I'm in a different universe than the one that's actually being talked about. And I'm watching a completely different basketball team than the one that's actually being talked about. But yeah, I mean, I'll get into the roster construction and kind of why Denver was really able to exploit the offense in the second half from the Blazers. But just to speak on those comments, the Blazers, of course, they win 4 out of 5 games, great, but it's over an easy schedule. They're still having some major issues on both ends of the floor that haven't really gotten better. And if that's the attitude right now, that's all rolling, then it kind of explains why maybe there hasn't been as much improvement as we should have seen in certain areas this season. They're good enough to take care of business against bottom feeders. So they've done a good job of taking care of business against bottom feeders. I will give them credit for that. But against good teams, they've really struggled. I mean, the last time they beat an above 500 team that wasn't missing their best player. I mean, we have to go back months. We have to go back a long time. I guess to the Miami win on January 22nd, right? It's March 22nd. In that time, the Blazers have not beaten an above 500 team with their best player. And even Miami in that game, I think, was shorthanded. I don't believe they had Tyler Hero. I don't know if Norman Powell missed that game. I'll pull up the box score. Norman Powell played in that game, but they didn't have Tyler Hero. They were starting Yakuchonis, a rookie point guard. They did have Bam. They did have Andrew Wiggins. But, in Miami, that was the game to put them above 500. They've played better basketball since. But before that, you have to go all the way back to, I guess Atlanta on January 15th. Basically my point is they were playing good basketball at the start of the year. They were capable of beating good teams with their best player. Since then, they have not played at the same level as they were the first half of January. And while they've still been able to win games and work their way into 8th, it's because they've had a soft schedule the second half of the season. And there's 2 different aspects to that. One, you got to take care of business against teams that you're supposed to take care of business against. The Blazers have done a good job in that regard. But in terms of evaluating their level of play and where they're at right now and if they're capable of being competitive against good teams that aren't missing an Anthony Edwards, for example, the Blazers are far off from that. And I think this Denver game was a perfect example of that. And if Thiago's, feeling satisfied with the way things are going because you beat Brooklyn, because you beat Utah, because you beat Indiana, because you barely scratched out a win at Minnesota when they were missing Anthony Edwards and Naz Reid off the bench. I mean, the wins before that were against Indiana, Memphis, Chicago, and then Phoenix. I guess that was an above 500 team that had their... did they have Booker in that game? No, they didn't have Booker in that game. So the point is, this team is not playing particularly good basketball right now, and that should not be the attitude from Thiago, and that was evident in this game. When they have their center who, coming into the league, shot 2 threes his final season at UConn, but he's shooting 4 threes in the first 6 minutes and hitting all 4 of them. Yeah, you can stay in ball games. Yeah, you can maybe look like, oh, we might be competitive against the Denver Nuggets. But I can only speak for myself. I knew what direction this game was going to go. The Blazers aren't a good enough three-point shooting team to maintain that level of three-point shooting. And how many threes did they get Donovan Clingan the rest of the game? He was basically guarded on the three-point line after that.
He took a couple bad ones, yeah.
Yeah, he was having to force them. But by the way, your camera's frozen. Don't know why. I think that's maybe you want to leave and come back. But this is a team that offensively had some really rough moments in this game. Defensively, they give up 128 to Denver. I guess it's better than 157. There we go. That's better. I guess it's better than 157, but I don't know, man. This team is not playing particularly good basketball. They can still win their next 4 games because they're playing 4 more bottom feeders after this and work their way into 8th, and I'll be happy about that. But the attitude should not be that, oh, things are rolling and the offense is rolling when you're turning over the ball at an astronomical rate and you continue to be abysmal from 3 while taking almost half your shots from 3. As we take a look at the team stats, more than half their shots in this game were from 3, and they shot 32%. They only turned over the ball 11 times. That's the lowest mark in, 2 months? I don't know how long that goes back. Like, pretty rare game in terms of taking care of the ball. But they literally never led, and they lost by 16, and they were 8-point underdogs, something like that. So, did not play well in this game, have not been playing particularly well, just have been winning games that they're supposed to.
Yeah, and one of the things, so I know Jeremy Grant's out tonight, and that hurts a little bit.
Yeah.
But City is supposed to be this defensive guy, right?
Yeah.
And we come out of the gates just playing horrible defense, and part of it too is, man, we had some ridiculous fouls in this game. Tamani picks up an early foul. What are you doing wrestling with Jokic when you already picked up a foul, knowing you're gonna get your second foul? It was only a matter of time. Every time down the court, he's wrestling with him, but he's stupid enough to keep doing it, right? And that's exactly what Denver wants you to do. They want you to get involved with that kind of crap instead of focusing on playing good defense. And we totally just bit right into it, right? Scoot at the end of the half doing or it was first quarter, I think maybe, I forgot, it was first quarter into half where he just runs into the shooter, like horrible closeout. He's already got 2 fouls. Like at that point, you got to stay in the game, man. Scoot had some bad fouls in this one as well. Like, we just do not play smart basketball when it comes to that kind of thing, getting in the bonus and stuff like that. And on top of not guarding the 3-point line very well in this game, you're also committing all these fouls and getting into foul trouble. It's a recipe to never have a chance to beat a team like Denver in Denver because you play this way.
Oh, absolutely. And when we talk about individual players, I'll get into also just some silly plays that were made in this game. But overall, the effort level in this game I was dissatisfied with. And you can say, oh, they're playing in altitude, this or that. But, I mean, just some of these transition plays were like, Scoot, that was a stupid foul. Scoot made some stupid plays in this game on both ends. I'm going to kind of rant about it. But I will say he was one guy that I was happy with his effort trying to get back. There's a couple different plays where he was hustling to get back and nobody else was. And that was something, we were hard on Scoot early in his career for. There's just some moments where he's not hustling back. I thought he did a decent job, but I thought multiple players on this team were just jogging in transition or just watching the transition play or running back to the 3-point line, even though they have a drive to the rim.
Denny had a lot of those moments tonight.
Yeah, like the effort in this game was pretty abysmal, and I think that plus the shooting. Like, all this boils down to a bigger conversation that we're going to have. Shout out to Tay Plays, $10 donation, says, I'm convinced that Splitter will be gone after the season. Even Dundon brought the Hurricanes. He basically got rid of the radio and TV announcers. Do you see that happening? Would you be sad? I think it depends on how the end of the season goes. Dundon's coming in, and if this team... I mean, I don't trust this team to play their way into the playoffs, even if they're the 8th seed. Like I said, against good teams, they've played pretty abysmal basketball. So, if Dundon sees that, I think that could sway his decision. It's hard to predict what he's going to do because while he did certain things with the Carolina Hurricanes, the NBA is different than the NHL. And, I mean, different team, different situation. So, don't really know how he's going to react to this stuff, to be honest. So, I wouldn't be shocked either way if Splitter's brought back or if Splitter's let go. Thank you for the donation. Thank you for the question. I don't know how you feel about it, Eric.
Yeah, as far as the announcers go, I mean, who knows? I'm not tied into the Carolina hockey team announcers, whether they were liked by their audience or not. But
I think he was basically trying to lowball them in terms of paying them, and then one guy decided to leave or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, I mean, this doesn't apply to Lamar, but I know. Since COVID, Calabro's been. I don't think he's too far off from retiring, or, maybe ending his career with the Seahawks.
I don't think the question. Was about the announcers. I think it was basically Dundon when he came in, cleaned house, even all the way down to the announcers. So, do we think he's going to clean house in terms of Thiago?
Right. Thiago. Once again, I don't know. I mean, if they make the playoffs. And I could easily see them just giving Thiago a contract. I do think the difference, we talked about this before, is Thiago being an interim coach. There's no contract you have to pay him out or anything like that if you let him go. So I do think that's more of a clean break, bring in your guy that you want to coach. Because it could get messy. You're not going to most likely be able to say, hey, Thiago, do you want to sign a 1-year deal to see how you do, to see if you keep this job long term? I don't know if they're gonna do that. So your choice is basically sign him to a 3 to 5 year deal, or move on and find a new coach. If this was a case where Chauncey never got investigated by the FBI and he had 4 years left on his deal or whatever it was, then I could maybe see them keeping him one more season. But just the fact that he's an interim coach and not necessarily, I think he'll definitely get interviewed for the job full time. But I don't know. I think it's just lining up perfectly to start this new ownership with a new coach as well.
I will say, if he's going to be cheap coming in, then bringing Thiago back would be the move. Bringing Thiago back would be the move that Jody Allen and Burt Cold would have made. I think what they do there might be a little bit indicative of if this is going to be run maybe similarly to how they were running in the past, or if it's going to be run better. But thank you for the question.
Well, to add to that real quick, I don't think they're paying $6-7 million a year to bring in Mike Malone or something. I'd find it hard to believe that that's the route that ends up happening this season either.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens. The fast break defense was awful in this game. 27 points given up to Denver. Just guys not running back. And here's the thing. When you got a team that plays well in transition, you got to be smart defensively, and you got to know who you pick up. You're going to get cross-matched if you're playing good transition defense. Because sometimes you don't have the time to get all the way back to your man and leave a guy who's running to the rim. You got to take the guy that's running to the rim if you're the only guy in that area. So there's going to be cross matches, but that's a product of actually playing good transition defense. And I just thought it was mostly effort in this game, I think, in transition. And also getting loose balls. Like, the Blazers have not been a good team this year at corralling loose balls, at diving on the floor, at pursuing rebounds. I mean, there was that play that Jokic basically ran past 2 Blazers and grabbed the rebound, So we hear a lot of talk about how hard this team plays. This was another game, though, where that was questionable at best. The effort was very frustrating, and, you can make all the excuses in the world, and maybe some of them are valid. They were playing in Denver. They were playing in altitude. 5th game of a road trip. But, I don't know. I kind of feel like the effort is more of a mental decision to actually try and pursue a rebound, actually try and run back. And if you're a little tired, not running back as fast, understandable, but at least you're running back, compared to just just lazy in this game, I felt like, from a mental aspect. So I was very disappointed in that, and this team can't afford to play that type of basketball against a good team. Like, it's impossible for them to win unless they play at least as hard, if not harder, than a team like the Denver Nuggets, because obviously they have a lot of advantages with what they do offensively and having Nikola Jokic. So you have to find other areas to make up for that. They didn't do that from the three-point line. They didn't do that defensively. They allowed 54% on field goals, made the same amount of free throws. They did that on the offensive glass. They got 9 more offensive rebounds. So they did in that area, but that's not enough to win this type of game. So disappointed in the effort.
Yeah, and it doesn't help that the a-hole schedule makers, first of all, fifth game on a road trip, last game of a road trip, you're playing in altitude. And then you're on a 5-game road trip, and you have to come home and play now at home the next night. I know it's against the Nets, but you don't get a single day off after a 5-game road trip ending in Denver, where you had to go all the way to the East Coast. Like, that's such a D move by the NBA schedule makers. So the Portland has to find a way to overcome that tomorrow. They cannot afford to have this game cost them 2 games, especially one to the Nets tomorrow night.
Yeah, true. I feel like every team can look at a couple points on their schedule, like, oh, I don't like that part of the schedule, and I feel like this is definitely one of those. They're coming home to play a taking team, so it's better than if they're coming home to play the Clippers. That would be frustrating with the battle for the 8th seed right now. But yeah, ultimately, unfortunately, being in the Pacific Northwest, you're going to end up with weird quirks in scheduling, and I will say at least this game was earlier, so they have a little bit more lead up to tomorrow night. But yeah, those are the team stats. The bigger conversation I want to have is this. So we talk about how they shot more than half their field goal attempts from 3 in this game. We talk about how they really struggle in the second half, how they'll build a rhythm in the first half, and there will be a guy like Donovan Clingan or Scoot Henderson that has a great first half, and then they get taken out of the game in the second half. And then we talk about, the energy. Is it actually as good as how it's talked up to be? And we talk about how the defense has underachieved. The problem is, in a game like this, there are 4 offensive liabilities playing. And by offensive liabilities, I don't mean guys who they can't occasionally make a 3 or they can't occasionally drive to the rim and score a layup. Guys that are so offensively bad they wouldn't be playing for other teams, other good teams. Guys that, every player that played for the Denver Nuggets tonight is better than these guys offensively, more skilled than these guys offensively. Liabilities in terms of you can't consistently rely on them to make the right decision. You can't consistently rely on them to take care of the ball. You can't consistently rely on them to make a 3-point shot, right? Their skills are subpar for the position that they play. And all these guys are defensive players. And this is an archetype that Joe Cronin has fallen in love with. The limited offensive player that hypothetically is a good defender and hypothetically brings energy. Yet when these guys play, it doesn't really feel like the defense is any better. or it doesn't feel like the defense is good against good teams, and it doesn't feel like the energy is where it needs to be either. And for whatever reason, Joe Cronin has fallen in love with this archetype to round out his rosters, and it's, I think, indicative of some of the bigger problems, because when you got Scoot Henderson playing, he's inconsistent offensively. When you got Tamati Kamara playing, and he's very inconsistent offensively, and he's kind of has subpar ball skills at the small forward position, power forward position, whatever you want to call it. And then in a game where you're missing Jeremy Grant, you're kind of screwed because you have to play certain guys that are liabilities. The 4 guys that I'm talking about in this game were super, super frustrating to watch offensively. And those players are Sidy Cissoko, Chris Murray, Matisse Thybulle, and Blake Wesley. The combination of those 4 guys offensively dooms the Blazers in a game like this, because did any of those guys contribute to the defensive end of the floor today? The Denver scored 128 points. Did any of those guys make consistently positive contributions on the defensive end? I don't think so. Did any of those guys bring energy that kind of boosted the energy that the whole team was playing with? Did they bring a level of energy that was focused in the right way and productive for the team? I don't think so. Offensively, they combined to go. Let me do some math here. Thybulle was 1 for 4. Sissoko was 1 for 4. Chris Murray was 0 for 2. Blake Wesley was 0 for 2. They combined to go 2 for 10 from the 3-point line. Okay, 2 for 10, 20%, about what you'd expect. Chris Murray had 2 points in 18 minutes. Sissoko had 7 points in 19 minutes, was 3 for 8. Blake Wesley, 2 points in 11 minutes, was 1 for 3. And Matisse Thybulle, 3 points in 25 minutes, 1 for 6 from the field, and 1 for 4 from 3. So I don't know what the minutes and points add up to, but it's a lot of minutes, and it's very few points. The problem is there's too many players on this roster that are super limited offensively that don't make consistent enough contributions on the defensive end of the floor to make up for it. And what you see with a team like Denver, a smart defensive teams, well coached, that are good, they leave those guys. We're not worried about Matisse Thybulle. We're not worried about Chris Murray shooting from the corner. I mean, Chris Murray airballed a wide open corner 3 in this game because they were leaving him wide open. The couple of threes that he shot, they deliberately left him wide open. Nobody's worried about Blake Wesley making the 3. Nobody's worried about these guys doing damage off the dribble. It just allows defenders to send a second body to Denny, send a second body to Klingon. And this is just a major roster construction flaw. I know some of these guys wouldn't be in the main rotation, but the Blazers already have offensive struggles even with their main guys that play. The problem is there's far too much of this across the roster. By extension, Tamati Kamara most nights lately has belonged in this group of players that I'm talking about that isn't able to do something off the dribble and isn't making threes, and teams aren't having to worry about his offensive contributions. But he's, he was a second team all defense guy last year. So, okay, yeah, you're going to play him, obviously, because he supposedly provides a lot defensively. This year, it hasn't been quite as good, but, you're going to play Tamati Kamara. The problem is when you have to rely on Tamati, and then you have 4 guys off the bench like this, and then Scoot doesn't have his best game, you're just screwed offensively. And it's just a roster construction flaw. Cronin's fallen in love with this archetype, and this archetype is driving me freaking crazy because they're not good offensively, but they're not contributing to where they're supposed to contribute, which is a defensive end and hustle and this and that. You're doubling, tripling, quadrupling down on this archetype of player, and this archetype of player continues to not provide enough in any area to justify them getting minutes.
Yeah, and it doesn't help when V and Jeremy are both out tonight, and Sharp too. I mean, that if you have those 3 guys, you probably have to play 1 or 2 of them, but those guys also have been playing a lot when we've been healthy too. So I don't know, man. But I mean, we've known that this is one of the biggest flaws of the team was the way the roster was constructed. So yeah, unfortunately, you got to have some of those guys step up. And I know Chris had a couple of okay moments there at the beginning of the second quarter, but his stint at the end of the first quarter where he airballed that three, he barely hit rim on another wide open corner three. And then on like a 3-on-1 fast break, he somehow went right into the defender and went across the lane like he was going into a packed paint and still tried to flip up some garbage layup. Luckily, I think we ended up getting the rebound and putting it back in, but like I just don't know what he was thinking there, man. But it was like, oh my gosh, like we cannot have this guy on the floor right now. But yeah, it's the problem is we just have too many of those guys, and it'd be one thing if you had one or two where on a night like tonight where you are missing a Jeremy Grant, you know, unfortunately you have to play them, but this has been like every game this season we've had to talk about playing multiple ones of these guys. So unfortunately that is a lot to do with injury, but that's also how you set up your roster to have to play like when you have four of them or more on a roster, you're going to have to play some of those four guys at some point when you don't have a lot of wing depth and things like that. So I completely agree. Hopefully next year we're talking about a situation where if any of these guys are still on the roster, they're in the third unit, not not in the rotation, and we only see them in garbage time or when there's an injury.
Yeah. But my question is, why are there so many of them?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's always been a problem.
Why are there so many guys that are literally non-NBA players offensively? None of those four guys are NBA caliber players offensively.
Yep, and I mean, we knew last offseason they had to address the shooting, and they didn't. So I don't understand that.
Yeah. Well, they need to replace these guys. Like, here's the thing. If these guys were doing great defensively, then you could make the case like, okay, they're maybe making up for some of these offensive struggles. But when these guys are playing mediocre defense, like, okay, fine, just go find a mediocre defender that can make threes and do something offensively. Because this team is already playing mediocre defense with multiple of those guys in the game at the same time, alongside like Klingon and Tamani Kamara and Drew Holiday, right? So it's like all these guys, you know, Chris Murray plays good defense. Okay, he's like above average. I'd kind of rather just have an average defender that can make 37% of his corner threes than Chris Murray, who's above average defender, but offensively is abysmal. Like, it's super frustrating to me how Cronin has doubled down on the archetype of guys that are so limited offensively, but like theoretical defenders, but don't seem to have much of an impact on the defense either. Mm-hmm. He needs to, if he's serious about this team trying to win basketball games next year, he needs to fix that. He needs to fix that. And to his credit, he brought in Vit Krejci, who has not shot like he shot throughout his career, but still a really good pickup. Somebody that's supposed to address a need. But I mean, we've seen Tiago sometimes play a Chris Murray more minutes than Vit, City Sissoko more minutes than Vit, play these guys in combination with each other, which just compounds the issue. So, it's not even being managed right from the coaching staff. But the problem that I saw, like both those Chris Murray threes, here's what smart teams do, right? You want Chris Murray shooting a corner three. It's not efficient offense. You want him shooting threes. So as a defensive player, not only is, goal A like, okay, I'm going to leave him and go into the paint and clog everything up. I'm an extra body that can help out on the pick and roll, so we can trap the ball handler coming off a pick and roll, and I can just go cover the screener. And then what's the open pass? What's the second part of that is, the one open pass is Chris Murray sitting on the three-point line. So not only am I ruining the initial play, initial action, whether it's helping on a drive or helping onto the pick and roll to completely ruin that, the outcome is we got the guy that we want shooting threes.
Yep.
It's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer for other teams. And guess what? Portland will shoot those threes. Those four guys shot 10 threes today.
Mm-hmm. And when they cut, what happened? Chris Murray gets a lob dunk, right? When he doesn't just stand out in the corner and do that.
Well, that's the thing is when you have one of those guys on the floor, like when the guys kind of leave them, those cutting lanes are open. When you have 2 or 3 or 4, and now all of a sudden you got a couple of guys that you don't have to worry about on the 3-point line. Now you can send 2 guys into the paint. Things get so clogged up that even those cuts or even the passes to those cuts are much more difficult or just simply not there. And that's the problem with having so many of these types of players.
Yeah. Well, my thing is, okay, it's one thing we have the roster kind of set up, but then you've used your 2 ways on an inconsistent 3-point point guard. You use it on City Sissoko, who is exactly like some of the guys like Chris Murray you already have. And then you use the third one on a player who's never going to make the NBA. Like, why not? If you have your roster set up with all these defensive guys who can't shoot, why don't you use your 2 ways to try and find a gem shooter instead of just getting the same type of archetype that you already have on the roster?
Yeah, it makes sense. It would make sense. But, I don't know. We'll see this offseason. I mean, I will be heavily critical of Joe Cronin if he doesn't. And I'll be the person sitting there saying, Matisse Thybulle, Chris Murray, like, these guys shouldn't be in the rotation. And then there will be the crowd of people that thinks I'm just so negative. Matisse Thybulle one time was an all-defensive second-team guy. His defense is amazing. Chris Murray just he does all the little things. And Blake Wesley, his energy is just so needed for this team. And City Sissoko, man, that was such a great 2-way blah, 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 blah. Okay. Great. Cool. What's it going to look like when those guys are out on the floor? It's going to look like this. And it's going to be problematic. And I will be the first person to criticize it. People will say, oh, well, they're the 10th and 11th guys and 12th guys. What does it matter? But then they're the same people that are saying, oh, we have 2 guys injured. What can we do? We have to play these guys. So round out the roster with just a wider diversity of players, or just, it doesn't even have to be a diversity of players. If you're going to keep doubling down on a certain archetype at the end of the roster, just try and find some well-rounded players. Try and find guys that can maybe make threes and play defense, or make threes and handle the ball a little bit and are okay defensively. Like, it's just this archetype is driving me crazy, and you can just see the way the offense gets clogged up. So you look at the second half with Denver, man. Not only were they being more physical, and we struggle with that because we don't have good enough ball handling. We don't have good enough shooting. So when teams get physical and press us, like, combine that with the paint being clogged, we get stuck, and then we turn over the ball a lot. But like, it's easy to, if Scoot has a good first half, if Klingon has a good first half, go into the locker room and be like, okay, we need to adjust and take these guys out of the game. And all right, you take Klingon out of the game, or you take Scoot out of the game after he has a good first half because you're sending more attention his way. You're literally able to do that because the Blazers have guys like Matisse Thybulle and Chris Murray and City Sissoko out there on the floor that you can basically say, all right, well, let's send 2 to the ball, or let's, not leave Klingon on the pick and roll, and then whoever's guarding these non-shooters can rotate over and help. And if these guys make threes, they won't. But if these guys make threes, okay, fine. That's a fluky way to beat us, but we'll live with our odds. That's the mental approach defensively for teams in the second half. I think that's why you've seen guys get, have great first halves, and then the second half, it's like they can't do anything. Like, they're not doing anything. And that's why the Blazers offense in the first half, they'll have some rhythm with their starters. They'll build some momentum, and then teams play more physical. Teams adjust. Teams will leave these guys even more, and the Blazers look like a completely different offensive team.
Yeah, well, in this particular game, before I say this, Kenneth, you say this every stream, man. Luke Kennard makes like way too much money. The trade would not have worked from Atlanta for Veit. Please stop saying that every single stream. We would have had to trade a different player, more money out, It wouldn't have worked the same. So the Blazers, can you please stop saying
the
that?
V conversation is so stupid too. Like, V was shooting 42% from three in Atlanta and was shooting above 40% the 2 seasons prior to this, and then has a slump in how many games did he play for the Blazers? Like 15.
I mean, he had a month-long slump, but his numbers were still good overall. But he was slumping it in his last month in Atlanta too.
But you look at 3 years over a month. It's 3 years sample size. The dude was a 41 to 44% three-point shooter. It's so silly to sit here and be like, that's a bad trade. He can't shoot because, in the 18 games he's played in the abysmal Blazers offense, he shot 31% from three. We should have traded for Luke Kennard. Guess what? In this offense, I wouldn't be surprised if Luke Kennard was struggling to knock down threes and get quality threes as well. If he had an 18-game slump, you know what you'd be saying? Oh, we should have traded for Krejci instead. We're paying Luke Kennard $11 million to not make threes, and that's all he can do is make threes. You'd be saying the same exact thing. So you're just being a prisoner of the moment and being very reactionary. And people need to chill on Veet, man. People really need to chill on Veet. And guess what? If Veet was a 42% three-point shooter for 3 years and then gets to Portland and all of a sudden becomes a 30% three-point shooter for the next 3 years, then guess what? That doesn't make it a bad trade. That's unforeseeable. Like, you traded for a guy that was an elite three-point shooter for 3 years before you trade for him, and then for whatever reason, he becomes a complete ass three-point shooter. Like, nobody could foresee that. And if that's the case, we probably got bigger issues than just that one player, because Portland seems to be a place where shooters come to die, or, guys can't shoot, So that whole conversation is just becoming extremely annoying to me. It's not really reasonable.
All right, so going back to what I was going to say. So I've been hardly ever live tweeting during games, but I had to tweet this one. I knew the second it happened, the Blazers lost this game, and they had no chance of coming back. First play out of the half, Klingon rolls down the lane, and Aaron Gordon just cheap shots him. And then he goes over and high fives all of their bench. Like, this was specifically talked about by Denver at halftime to give him a shot going down the lane to kind of try and prevent him from doing so. It should have been a technical foul, in my opinion. But then Donovan got completely taken out. The broadcast kept talking about him arguing some foul call on the other end, but he was still talking about that. But the Blazers just let him cheap shot one of our best players, did nothing to respond to it, nothing at all, didn't match their intensity or whatever. They just let them take Donovan out of the game with a cheap shot out of the half, and we did nothing to either step up and defend Donovan or to counteract them being physical with him on those rolls. And I thought that just sent a message that the Blazers didn't have any kind of interest in trying to help a teammate out, that the other team literally said, let's just hit him coming down the lane and see what happens. And the Blazers, I don't know. I feel like City, like, what is City doing in the starting lineup if it's not to go get in his face after that, right?
Yeah.
Like, maybe they didn't see it or whatever, but after the coaches should have realized what happened. I would have fully backed whoever got in his face and defended Donovan Klingon there, and I just thought that was very telling that the Blazers had basically given up on this game.
Yeah. Soft, man. Shady says that's why I love Dillon Brooks. Listen, I hate Dillon Brooks. He's annoying as hell to me, but the Blazers kind of need their version of Dillon Brooks. Because Dillon Brooks is,
I mean, he might have gotten kicked out of this game, but heck, we lost by 60 anyway. That sends a message.
Yeah, it's not even necessarily about that play. It's about the mentality and the mindset. I've talked about it. This team is kind of soft mentally. They're kind of soft mentally, unfortunately. They don't have a veteran that is like hard nosed and like has a chip on their shoulder. Like Drew Holiday has played great defense throughout his entire career, but like doesn't really have a chip or on his shoulder or an attitude, right? Jeremy Grant definitely doesn't, right? Like who's the veteran that you can look to step up for a young guy when they get cheap shotted? You know, like I mean, you had Bruce Brown like mocking Denny at one point in this game, and just like okay, all right, you know. They need their version of Dylan Brooks, like somebody that can provide offense. Dylan Brooks used to drive me crazy offensively, but this year he's been good for Phoenix. But then is like the emotional leader of the team, like has a chip on their shoulder, plays with an attitude, like riles up the team. Because a lot of nights it just looks like guys that are they still look like a rebuilding team of guys that like haven't established themselves at the NBA level. So like when something like that happens, they don't know what to do and they don't know how to respond. And Klingon's been that guy that has like the chip on his shoulder and that sort of thing. Like Klingon needs to stand up for himself a little bit more. But yeah, I don't know. I just feel like that's the mindset of this team is just like kind of soft. And I feel like that's the attitude from Tiago too. Tiago coaches kind of soft. And you look at how they have mentally folded in fourth quarters and how they struggle against pressure defense and some of their turnovers that are just super bad mental mistakes. And it drives me crazy how soft this team can be, man. So that's also another thing for the roster construction. It's like if you have all these energy hustle types that struggle offensively, like they shouldn't be soft. They should be very hard-nosed, like physical without fouling, but like step up for a teammate in that sort of situation. But like there's just some games where this team has just a lack of confidence, it feels like, in regards to not only their play, but situations like that. And it's indicative of a team that still hasn't arrived yet, I guess. But also it's something where, all right, you're going to have Dame back next year. You know, Dame would have said something, and here's the thing. If Dame's saying something, even if you're an opponent and you talk back, like there's a level of respect that comes from a top 75 player of all time. But you just need more guys like that. If you're going to act like we play hard and we want to make the opposing team uncomfortable and all the stuff that they say, you need players that exude that. And I just don't feel like that is really the case right now.
Yeah, unfortunately, I agree with you. And I was just like, dude, come on. Like, you're just going to let Aaron Gordon do that and then laugh about it with his bench? Like, come on, dude. Like, it speaks to the softness. And then that combined with what I was already feeling about Tiago being soft, like, prior to the game by saying that, like the offense and defense has been playing so good. Like, what the heck, dude? Like, this, it's been, like, part of my frustration with this team. And, once again, you know, we're playing the Nuggets in Denver. They're fairly healthy, or pretty much completely healthy, have their starting lineup intact, all that kind of stuff. So, did I expect to win this game? No, I didn't expect to win it. I expect the team to be wanting to improve these things, and it almost feels like they're just satisfied with where they're at. And being in that 8th range and being in the play-in range, and it's always kind of felt that way, right? Like anytime they get any kind of momentum, it's always a step back whenever they take a step forward. And then it's just it's frustrating to me. And then you have to listen to all these fans like, whoa, they weren't going to beat Denver in Denver. Yeah, no crap. Like, especially with that kind of attitude. But like at the same time, like this is stuff that helps you build that attitude and mindset. You've talked about in recent streams about making the playoffs so they get that kind of mentality going for next year when they have Dame and should take another step. But
also, why should that be the attitude? We're not going to beat the Nuggets in Denver. Like,
well, I know I don't want to think that.
They literally just lost to Memphis 2 games ago. You
Right.
know, like they only beat the Raptors by 6. I know the Raptors are above 500, but like we're talking about a team that literally just lost to the freaking Grizzlies. Now it was on the road, but it's the freaking Grizzlies. Like, have that any game. We can win any game mentality. The
Mhm.
mentality should be going into a game like, yeah, we can win this game if we play the right way. They were only, what, 8-point underdogs and they lost by twice as much? Like, that attitude is so freaking lame and non-competitive. Like you're just ready to roll over and get beat. I hate that the fan base has that mentality towards some things, man. It's like if you lose a basketball game, there's some things that the other team did better than you, and obviously you can point to the roster, but there's always something in terms of the way they're playing offensively or defensively that's not just chalked up due to the roster that can be improved. And that should be the focus, is how does this team get better at the stuff that they can get better at? Because guess what? Like, they're not playing perfect basketball for their roster construction. You know what I mean? It's not just this team is playing as well as they possibly could in terms of the style of play, in terms of what they're running, in terms of their effort, in terms of their defense, but the roster is just the only singular thing holding them back. So, like, you just can't win in Denver because the roster's not good enough. That attitude is so silly and lame and drives me insane. And they have plenty of things that they should be doing better. And if you want to look at the roster construction, okay, look at the roster construction and criticize the roster construction then. But a lot of the people that have that attitude also aren't willing to do that either. So,
Right. Well, here's the thing, and it's just, I mean, we've talked about this how many times, Tori, about like they get to a point and it seems like they then take their foot off the gas and they then act like they've arrived, you know. So they get the 8 seed, they're finally the 8 seed, and now it's like, oh yeah, we're doing really good on offense, we're really good on defense, and we don't need to step up for Donovan when he gets a cheap shot. Like, I don't know, it's just, I want to hear from my team, you know, we moved up into the 8th. I still don't feel like we're playing our best ball. Hopefully that's still to come, and we need to make sure down the stretch we're locked in so that we can actually get the 8 seed, not just be happy that we were there at one point. And then also, like, we're not satisfied with just getting the 8 seed. Phoenix lost last night. We have a chance. We're only, you know, 4 games behind them or something. Like, I want to try to challenge them for the 7th seed. And even if that you don't actually beat them, I want that kind of mindset. Or like, our offense has looked better. I don't necessarily think it's still playing as good as it can be. Not just, oh, our offense is playing really good lately.
yeah.
Like, I
Well,
want
that's the
a
issue.
team that strives to get better and improve these things. And it feels like with Portland, I mean, for the majority of this show, since this channel has been in existence and going back far before I've even met you, it feels like Portland is just a franchise that no matter what happens, like, we have this awesome young point guard. Let's just see what happens by signing a bunch of scrubs around him and never giving him a chance to actually win. You know, like, oh, it's good. We made the playoffs 8 straight years. Good job, guys. It's just good enough to keep people interested.
Yeah.
You
Never
know?
once
Like,
contended, but, you know, we made it for 8 times in a row. Like, yeah. No, fully agree. And the issue is the team takes on the mindset of their head coach, and that's clearly the mindset from Tiago. That's clearly the attitude in which he coaches with, and it's why he should not be brought back. This is just like my dream is Dundon comes in with a different mindset than that and wants to set a higher standard. That is my dream, man. Because he seems like that type of guy. And that's why I was excited when he became the owner, because it seems like he's the type of guy that might set a higher standard for the team and be frustrated with, you know, the organization speaking in the way that they've spoken in the last decade in regards to mediocrity equaling success. So yeah, that's my hope. So supposedly he's going to take over the team this month. I mean, it's March 22nd, so maybe we hear from Tom Dundon in the next week and a half. Yeah. That'll be interesting.
So my day job, like we freaking killed it last year, right? And won all these like awards and crap. And like one of the higher ups is like, "Oh yeah, thank you for this award, but we need to do even better this year, right?" And that's annoying as heck for like me, who's like killing it, it's like never good enough. But that's the kind of attitude I want the Blazers to have, not my boss. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's what like successful people do. They never rest on, okay, we achieved this. Like, even winning a championship last year, like the Thunder, they want to win a second championship, right? And you can never maybe like get that full drive that you had to win the first one, but like the greats always want to do the next thing, get better than they did last time. They don't just settle for, oh yeah, we've been playing okay lately and we're the 8th seed right now, so we're pretty good shape. Like, no, that's not good enough for a highly competitive person.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. I've ranted probably 150 times about the mindset. In the past few years, it's continues to be annoying. I just don't know if Dundon's going to. I don't know how Dundon's going to approach things coming in, and I don't know. I mean, he has an NHL team that's like at the top of their conference in the NHL, so I assume he wants the same for his NBA team. And getting to 8th is, dude. Getting to 8th and celebrating it is literally like, oh man, we haven't even secured 8th yet, but we've been a awful team the last 5 years, and now we're finally average.
Playing team, yeah.
we're freaking average for the first time in 5 years. Let's go, man. Now let's act like we're playing great basketball, even though the offense is just as bad as it was last year, and the defense is literally worse statistically in terms of adjusted offensive and defensive rating. Also, you're 8th because the West is the West play-in teams are not as good as the Eastern Conference play-in teams, believe it or not. The Blazers are actually they were when they got up to 8th. Let me do the math: 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Sorry. 6, 7. They weren't even 15th. They were 18th out of 30 teams in the league when they got up to 8th. Like, yay, we're 18th out of 30 teams, man. The Hornets have passed us up. The Pistons have passed us up. The Rockets passed us up last year, Last year it was like, man, well, you know what? We're just like 1 year behind schedule. We're the next Houston Rockets. Look at what they're doing this year. We can do that. We can take that sort of jump next year. And now it's like, no, we're not talking about this team taking a Rockets jump. We're talking about, yay, we're 8th for a game. And now we're 9th again. Yay, we are almost at 500. Like, cool, man. Like, yeah, I guess it's a, slight step forward from last year. But at some point, the attitude has to change from, like, let's just be happy that we're reaching mediocrity to, like, let's go be great. And that should be the attitude. That can be the attitude for a team that's 8th in the West or 9th in the West. Like, let's go be great. Let's not settle for the issues that we're having offensively. Let's not act like we're playing great basketball when we're obviously not. It's just a mindset thing. And there could be bad teams with that attitude, like, we need to improve on this and this and this, and we're going to bring that energy every single day and work our asses off to improve these things and become better. And given the lack of improvement in all the areas that plagued the Blazers this year, it doesn't really feel like that's the attitude. And then you hear the way Thiago's speaking in the pregame interview, and that's just the attitude from Thiago. At times that's been maybe at times is too nice, but at times that's been the attitude from Joe Cronin. Like, this whole organization just exudes that sort of attitude. So they need an attitude adjustment. I need to shout out a couple things, but if you want to finish off this combo, and then we'll look at the players.
Well, I just want to say something about this game. Matt Cardell says strategically it makes sense to throw this game and win the Nets game. Okay, then why down 20 in the fourth quarter, 5 minutes left, there was an out-of-bounds situation, dead ball. Cronin doesn't sub anyone in. Like, they still has the starters out there. Like, that's I mean, I get it if you if you like called off the dogs at some point in the third or fourth quarter and down by a lot. But they were seriously like 5 minutes left in this game. They were still down 20, trying to like come back, and with knowing they have a game tomorrow night on the end of a 5-game road trip. Like, it's just dumb.
Then he played 33 minutes, Tamani played 30. So what? You're saying like, oh, you know what? Even though we just finally got 8th and every single game matters right now, we're just going to allow ourselves to lose this game while playing Denny Avdia 33 minutes and Tamani Kamara 30 minutes. But we're just going to allow ourselves to lose this game that's very important, just so we can justify playing Tamani 5 less minutes and Denny 4 less minutes. At this time of year, when these games matter a ton, and you finally got up to 8th, and you're trying to secure that spot because it gives you a much better chance of making the playoffs, which is what your goal has supposedly been all year. You're telling me it's a smart play to tank a game like this on purpose so you can play your starters 5 less minutes, as if that's that meaningful for the game tomorrow against the Brooklyn freaking Nets? That makes no sense. I'm sorry, that makes absolutely 0 sense. Come on, man. Come on. I mean, I don't know the context, but like basically that whole notion is what I'm laughing at. Like, you go out to win this basketball game, and they played these guys, a little less minutes, but I mean, Scoop played 27, and Drew played 29, and DC played 25, which, that's about what he's been playing lately. And then he played 33, and Tamani played 30. Like, no. Strategically, it does not make sense to just throw this game to win the Nets game. Like, they tried to win this game. Anyway.
Shout out Suns fans 20.
I got shout out something before.
Okay,
Shout out to at AZ with 30. What's the currency? I don't know the currency, but it's a super flying sticker. Thank you. Thank you for the sticker and the 30.
That's the Israeli shekel, I think.
Thank you for the 30 shekels. Sorry I don't know currencies, but I appreciate your donation in any currency. And then shout out to SunsFan21, $2 donation. Says, at least y'all haven't lost 5 straight. It's about time you guys lose some games.
Yeah. I mean, the Blazers have been winning some games lately, but a lot of that schedule related.
Yeah. True. Anyway. Oh, I need to put on this. Virginia, since midway stop playing the audio on the stream. I need to put on this Virginia game. Virginia's up 1 with 1 minute and 37 seconds left. Can I play your audio through the stream? Yeah, and mute the desktop audio. That'd be cool. All right, try saying something.
Hello, testing.
Okay, chat. Can you hear Eric? If so, we're good. I'm just gonna have this this audio dim. Iowa's up 2 at half. Wow.
My boy Bennett.
Gabe's Nebraska Cornhuskers are going to the Final Four. I will say, if Iowa... No, well, I'm saying if Iowa beats Florida. Cool. If Iowa beats Florida, I feel like Illinois and Houston, that's the Elite 8 game, even though it's the Sweet 16. Like, that's the game to go to the Final Four, because those two teams are insane. Insanely good. The best 2 and 3 seed, in my opinion. But yeah, Tennessee, they had just hit 2 free throws to take the lead against Virginia. Anyway. Chat, if you have any questions, ask them in the chat. I've kind of locked it on the final minute and a half of this game, and then we'll look at the players, man. I hate having Blazer games in the middle of March Madness.
Yeah, it's always a bummer.
Like, have it at 7 so the postgame shows after the games have ended, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Not these early games. Virginia going to drive, going to get stuck, going to shoot a fadeaway hook shot off. Tennessee got the board with 1:07 remaining. I need Virginia to win. Anyway, timeout. All right, let's take a look at You know what? We got a box score graphic. Let me just update it. It's been a while. In case you can't tell, it's been a while since we've used one of these, but here we go. All right. Denny Avdia had 10 assists at halftime, 23 points, 14 assists, 3 turnovers. Really good passing game from him. Was really impressed with that. 7 for 17 from the field, 2 for 7 from behind the arc. Continues to struggle from 3. But I like the way he made plays while not turning over the ball. That was impressive. What were your thoughts on him?
Yeah, I mean, he was pretty good in this game. It's tough when you're just putting your head down a lot and not really getting anywhere, but overall, it's hard to argue with his passing numbers and stuff like that from this game.
Yeah. Couple plays he tried to sell the foul on, didn't get him. He was a -24 today. He's just still clearly not 100% to me, and he's still having... I don't know. I still think he's having a positive impact. I mean, 14 assists. He had 14 of their 31 assists, 3 turnovers. Just the struggle with the three-point shooting and, you know, the drives just don't look the same. I also think teams have kind of wisened up to how to defend a Denny Avdia-led Blazer team. Just kind of, you know, pack the pain and don't foul. Don't, you know, if he's going full speed and lowering that shoulder, like, don't try and cut him off. You'll pick up a foul. Like, you can kind of give ground because you have help at the rim. So,
well,
yeah.
Well, that was part of my issue with him tonight. There was like a handful of times he just went in there trying to get a foul.
Yeah.
And it has worked for him this season, but when the other team just has the mindset, just don't foul him and just let him go all crazy. I felt like tonight he just got himself into trouble a few times, especially in that second half where he just drove and had nothing there and just tried to flail and create something when if the other team's like backing off from you and have their hands straight up, you're not going to get those calls.
Yeah, agreed. Matt Cardo continues to say ridiculous stuff, and Chaz says, you both said you expected to lose this game. Okay, that doesn't matter. You shouldn't go into the game with the attitude that you're going to lose, and you shouldn't justify everything that happens with, like, we were underdogs, so nothing matters. That's the attitude that people have. Just because we expected Denver to win doesn't mean that, you know, there weren't issues in this game that have been the same issues that continue to not get addressed, so... Don't really understand that comment. He says, Denny threw a bunch of lobs that didn't connect. Should have counted those as turnovers. Ridiculous. If he throws a lob and it doesn't end up in the other team's hands, it's not a turnover. It shouldn't be counted as a turnover. Like, okay, he had 14 assists in this game. He tried to make plays for players all game long. A couple of lobs didn't connect, but weren't turnovers. That's fine. Like, he's making plays for literally everybody. He had almost half of our assists as a point forward. 14 assists. He had 10 assists at halftime. And he did a solid job of taking care of the ball outside of a couple turnovers. You know, 14 assists, 3 turnovers. Take that all day. Anyway, anything else to say on Denny, or you want to move on to Klingon, who continues to be the biggest bright spot on this team right now?
Let's move on to Klingon.
How many points did he have in the first? He had 18 in the first half, yeah?
It was at least 16, but yeah, I think it was 18. Yeah.
He finished with 18 points.
Yep.
So they did not get him involved at all in the second half. They started running him off the line. I will say, this team does not do a good enough job attacking the rim when Klingons bring the opposing big out of the paint. But this is a part of that bigger conversation, right? They have Klingon making a bunch of threes. The center's guarding him at the three-point line. And that means you don't have a big around the rim to protect the rim. So, like, gives you great opportunities to attack, and if the big draws into the paint, then you can skip to Klingon, and if they rotate, then they're cross-matched, and then you play smart basketball and you try and take advantage of the matchup. But that would require you getting into your offense fast, and you know what I mean? It's like that. That's how they need to play. But the problem is, A, they don't play smart. I mean, we talked about it. They don't play smart offense. They don't play smart defense. They just don't play smart in general. But then also, when you have guys that can't do anything off the dribble, how are you going to attack the rim off the dribble to take advantage of having a stretch five taking the opposing big away from the rim? Okay, Jokic's out of the paint or Gobert's out of the paint, guarding clean at three-point line. You swing the ball to Matisse Thybulle, guess what? He's not getting to the rim. You swing the ball to City Sissoko, guess what? They're playing 5 feet off of him because he's not a respectable shooter. Same thing with Chris Murray. All right, like, Scoo at times is having trouble beating his initial defensive player. Tamani Kamara is not a dribble drive guy. Drew Holiday plays a lot, like 5 to 8 feet out. Anyway, you just don't have personnel to exploit that advantage that Klingon provides. So a second half like that is like Klingon doesn't score. They're not letting Klingon get clean looks from 3 anymore. And then nobody's taking advantage of the fact that they're guarding him out there.
Yep, and when he opens up the floor by hitting those threes, and then we got him on the roll. We got several dunks after that, flob opportunities. It's just a case where that should open up the floor if you have the right personnel out there to take advantage of it. And if not, you're not running sets to exploit the personnel you have. So it just, man, he's looked so good at times, though. It's hard to blame Klingon for that. He's just been a beast. And, man, it's such a shame that happened at the beginning of the second half, because I feel like he just got taken out mentally from that play, and just never really got his head back in the game after that, and then got a foul on the other end, and it's weird because, like, these games have been awesome from him, but it's also like kind of just barely leaving us wanting a little more too. It's like, what more is he capable of? Like, I still feel like he can put these games together for a full game and have even better numbers. It's crazy to think about, but he's been playing so well.
Wow, Virginia just got screwed. They did not touch that ball. Wow, let's be this. I don't know if you have the game up, but
no,
they just had a long review. The ball went off a Tennessee player's head and like over a Virginia player that reached up to try and grab it, but like the rotation on the ball didn't change. Like, it was pretty clear he didn't grab it, but they didn't overturn it. Yeah. Gotta love refs, man. Gotta love refs. Anyway, Florida will lose. That'd be funny. I wonder how your guy Bennett Sturts is doing. But yeah, I mean, Klingon continues to be like the best player in the world in first halves the last 3 games.
Yeah.
Like, was he better than Jokic in the first half?
I mean, Jokic was pretty good too. But yeah, I don't know. They both had really good halves, so it's hard to say.
But like, that's the thing is if Klingon's having a comparable impact on the game as freaking Nikola Jokic in the first half, you should maybe be up.
Yep.
But anyway, 13 boards. I put money on Denver winning by at least 3.5, and Klingon getting a double-double. Like, easiest money I've ever made.
Nice.
Oh, he missed the layup.
Yeah.
Am I behind you? Ahead of you?
A little bit.
I'm behind you. I'm always, lagging behind. Yeah, I am behind you. Damn, they're about to inbound it.
Yeah.
Brutal. Wide open.
Dude, got a wide open
Missed
3.
it.
Yeah.
Looked like Chris Murray.
Wow, how did the defense just left him? Wow, that was crazy.
Dang it.
That would have been huge.
I'm rooting for my girlfriend's bracket at this point because she's leading our bracket pool. She had Virginia in the Final Four. I had them Elite Eight, so still rooting for them. But
I think I had Tennessee beating Virginia, so
yeah, you were smart and had Texas beating Gonzaga.
Yeah.
Dude, okay, I just gotta say this. There's so many casuals. Like asking people their opinion on Gonzaga is the perfect way to tell if they're a college basketball casual or not.
Mm-hmm.
If they're, the whole, like, Mark Few's never won a national championship. Should they fire him? Like, if you think that's a legitimate question or point, like, you don't know what you're talking about. Like, the whole, oh, they're frauds. They played a weak conference. Like, yeah. The whole, they played a weak conference. Like, dude, they beat Alabama by, like, 10. They beat UCLA by 10. They have a great winning percentage against Power 5 schools the last 10 years. Like, they regularly compete in their non-conference against all these top programs, It's ridiculous. But I will say I'm excited for them to go to the Pac-12, and I think they'll have more money. And they don't have to spend that money on football. They get their full revenue share, too, and they don't have to worry about a football program. They can just spend it on basketball. So,
if you're a blue blood, and I get it's been frustrating that Gonzaga hasn't won a championship, but there's 300 and some teams in Division I basketball. Like, it's not
mid-major
easy
small
to do what they've done. Like,
rural, yeah, they're a small rural Washington. I mean, there's Spokane, I guess, isn't rural, but it's a small school, like mid-major, that has built such a good program that now they're taking they're treated like they're a blue blood. I mean, JP World has been posted silly stuff. Gonzaga keeps playing nobodies. Did you just miss the point where their non-conference is like one of, if not the hardest non-conference schedule each year, and they always play a bunch of top teams and are very competitive against them? That's off Tennessee.
Yep. That was such a stupid foul.
Yeah.
But and not to defend the Ducks, like this is the last thing I want to do.
Yeah.
But there's also like 130 some teams in college football. Like, it is very hard to be the one team that wins a championship. It's hard enough as the Blazer fans look at the NBA. There's 30 teams and we can't win a championship in most of our lifetimes, right? So, like, imagine there be 130 some NBA teams. Like, it's not very easy, and to have high level of success, it's going to. A lot of people think you have to win it all to be successful, and ultimately might have to for it to be like legit legacy. But like, I don't know what Gonzaga's accomplished for almost 3 decades now is crazy.
Yeah, no other school has done it. Like, no other mid-major has done it. So,
Nope.
Some respect on their freaking name, man. They're having a down couple of years because they can't find shooters right now. But I'm not worried. Fogel, I think at some point, like, will be a first-round pick. I don't know if it'll be next year or year after, but, like, I think, yeah, Fogel's legit. So I'm excited to have him and Mario. And they got a couple good prospects. They're reviewing this one, too. Okay. Klingon... he has these starts to games sometimes where he literally can't miss a 3, which is awesome. But it's like he makes 4 in the first 6 minutes or whatever. With like for him to hit another one at some point after that. But yeah, and then Tamani. Well, shout out to Tamani. He shot the ball well today. It was 4 for 6 from 3, 5 for 8 from the field. Like, finally, against a good team, has a good shooting night. And Virginia inbounds it to Tennessee. Man, they are reminding me of the Blazers almost airballing a corner 3 and then turning it over on a bad inbounds play. Brutal. It's unfortunate. Anyway, yeah, Tamani. Cool, he made some 3s today.
He made 3 in the first half. I don't think he made... I don't think he made any threes in the second half, did he?
they get so quiet in the
Oh,
second
he might have
half.
made
like,
one. Yeah.
I think he made one, but yeah, they get so cold in the second half. Tori, feel your pain, Tori, as a Ducks football fan. The thing is, like, the Ducks are always going to be on the doorstep, though. Where Gonzaga's not really on the doorstep right now, so it kind of sucks. And he bricked another 3. GG's. Anyway, all right, I'm looking on the Postgame show now. Drew Holiday, 9 points, 3 for 12 from the field, 2 for 10 from 3. His scoring's kind of quietly faded away, unfortunately. Kind of needed his scoring in today's game. The last 5 games, he went 2 for 9, 5 for 11, 5 for 13, 5 for 17, 3 for 12. So a rough stretch here after he was lighting the world on fire to begin the month. A little bit of a shooting slump from him. This offense desperately needs him to produce. And he just has not produced as of late. Damn, what's going on with... Why is there 3 Erics here backstage? I don't understand. He's frozen, and I can't hear him anymore. I don't know what's going on Eric's end, but I literally open up the camera feed, and I see 3 Erics. Or, like, I see his name 3 times at the top, so... Eric, you're going to need to leave and come back. I don't know why there's 4 now. Sick, man. I don't know what's going on. There's literally 4 now. He's multiplying. That's kind of scary. We don't need 4 Erics. Drew's dropping off. Odds he's the next Blazers to show up on the injury report. I don't think he's injured. I just think it's a bit of a shooting slump. And good teams, the way they pack the paint, it makes it hard for Drew to score the way that he likes to score. And then Sissoko, 7 points. He gets to start today with Jeremy Grant out. Man, I have lost my rhythm. Kind of like the Blazers. Second half of the postgame show. I've lost my rhythm. Sissoko, 3 for 8 from the field, 1 for 4 from 3. That was an assist. Just doesn't really, like, defend well enough. Had 3 fouls in 19 minutes. He fouls too much. Same thing with Scoot. the fouling between those two is frustrating. Robert Williams, 16 points in 19 minutes off the bench. He had a good scoring game. Was 8 for 10 from the field. Now remember him scoring that many points, but I believe the box score. There's 5 now. And he's frozen on all of them. Okay. No, this 5th feed works. Why? Okay. Hello. Why is there 5 of you?
I don't know. It just keeps like kicking me out. And
Let me take a screenshot. I'll show you.
Rob had a bunch of putbacks and lob dunks.
Yeah, that's why I didn't
And
feel like
he had like a 15-foot jumper, like Jokic just played off him, and he just shot it.
Yeah, I don't even remember that. I didn't like the 3 that he shot, the deep.
From the top.
Yeah. Like, I know he's made a couple corner 3s, but that was basically like, man, anybody can shoot 3s, no matter who they are, no matter how poorly they shoot. Like, our offense is just like, dude, it could be somebody. We could literally put freaking Shaquille O'Neal out there and we'd have him shooting 3s. Is how I feel. I'm going to post this in the Discord so people can see what I'm talking about.
Everyone gets a green light, yeah.
Yeah, it's frustrating. Like, just not selective enough with their shots and don't work the offense well enough to generate better shots. It's an issue. Let's talk about Scoot real quick. So, the one thing I always kind of appreciated about Scoot's game was, like, he tried to make the right play offensively, and he made solid reads. And when he came back, you remember he had those couple of games where he was passing the ball really well.
Yeah.
and was making really solid reads. Wow, Florida's down 9. He was making super, super solid reads. He's not he's not playing like that anymore. He's kind of just playing to score. And it's getting a little frustrating. He's not really reading the floor anymore. And I don't know why that is. It's like worse than it's ever been. Even as a rookie, like he played so sped up and out of control, but he would find teammates still. Like he would still pass the ball. And now he's basically just become a guy that tries to score. And he's had some really good scoring moments lately, but that's not who he is. He's more of a guy that can score, but also a guy that's supposed to set up the offense, set up teammates, etc. Before this game, he had a 55% true shooting percentage. Wasn't super efficient in this game, but like the efficiency's slightly up from last year, which given he didn't play for the majority of the season, like that's a good thing that it's not worse. There's a stretch where it was way worse. His scoring has been okay. His scoring volume's up a little bit. His efficiency's up slightly on the season, and that's with a really awful 7-game stretch. So I don't really have an issue with most of the shots he's taking, but there are sometimes he drives into traffic and has 3 guys on him and like tries to shoot, and it's like, dude, you were always the guy that would just pass out of this and find the open teammate. You're 6'3". You're triple teamed when you drive. Like the play he drove and got blocked today, where he was struggling to beat his guy off the dribble, like he was stumbling a little bit. Also the play where he took like 10 dribbles in a row and drove across the key going right. I believe it was in the first half, and like flipped that shot up that had no chance of going in. Like I know some people will be annoyed by this, but like that's the stuff that Sharp does that occasionally that will drive me crazy. And it's the one thing that like Scoot for the most part didn't have a lot of those possessions and just like kind of tried to make the right play, whether it was taking the right shot or making the right pass. And a lot of the times the issue was like the execution of it, making enough shots and taking care of the ball when he was trying to set up the team, run the offense. But there's been times lately where it's like, dude, what on earth are you thinking? This is not who you are. Like, stop over dribbling. Why are you taking that tough of a shot with more than 3 seconds on the shot clock? You drive in the paint, you're getting swarmed, and you're not kicking out. And then the defensive fouls that are just completely dumb. Like, Scoot's playing kind of mindless basketball right now, more so than I think he did last year. And it's getting frustrating for me because, I don't know, it's hard to really judge the skill aspect. Like, when he is scoring at a higher volume. He is scoring slightly more efficiency this season, but it's been very inconsistent. But the decision-making getting worse is a legitimate issue because he doesn't have enough offensively to just be a guy that's just a scorer and can make bad decisions and get away with it, etc. So the defensive fouls, the foul on the three-point shot was ridiculous, but then some of the stuff he's doing offensively, some of the reads that he's not making that I feel like he's always made, is kind of baffling to me.
We had that one nice pass from like half court to Rob up ahead, got the and one.
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, that's the Scoot we want, right? Like that's him making that, seeing that advantage and then hitting it right away. But yeah, it's weird. It's something that I've always kind of struggled when evaluating Scoot is it doesn't seem like he's the smartest player, but then his passing instincts are smart. So like, but like nothing else in his game seems smart, So like I've been hoping that those passing instincts would win out over the other stuff. But lately, like you mentioned, it just seems like those aren't there either. So yeah, it's tough, man. Because I don't think long term it's best for him to, like, even if he became an efficient scorer and nothing else, like I don't think that's what's best for him long term. I always thought it was as more of a pass first point guard who if you're scoring efficiently and averaging like 8 to 10 assists a game, like that is really good. So I don't know. I feel like it's almost like he's a lot of the time it's like, he's in these crappy lineups, and it's almost like they're telling him he needs to play like Denny or something in those situations, and he's trying to do it, but it's just not his game. But like he's being forced to do it, and yeah, it's been tough to watch him not really see the floor very well, because that's always been something that's been there, even when people were trying to label him as a bust. You're muted if you're talking.
Oh, thank you. I have wondered what the coaching staff is telling him, because there is, I think, a distinct difference in terms of the style of play that he played with last year, and even the style of play that he played with the first few games since he came back. Like, that was more naturally his style of play, and lately it's basically just been go get buckets. Like, obviously, like, not never pass the ball, but he's I give Sharp crap for, being not making plays for others. In 30 minutes a game, he's getting 2.6 assists, per 36 minutes. He's getting 3.2 assists, 3.6 turnovers, right? And per 36, Scoot's still getting more assists. But if you look at his games lately, it's kind of similar. I think for the month of March, he's averaging like 3 assists and 2.4 turnovers. Somewhere around there. So
yeah,
like,
we looked at that last game. It was 3.2 to 2.4 or something.
So like per 36 minutes, it's probably like 4.5, 5, but that's lower than what he was his first couple of years. And he started off the year passing the ball well. Now the difference with Scoot and Sharp is like Scoot's shown the advanced playmaking, mid advanced passing. Had 2 years in a row where he averaged almost 7 assists per 36 minutes, but it's like a regression. And from a scoring aspect, like the conversation's kind of the same with them. Their efficiency's right around the same per 36 minutes. Scoot scoring over 20 points per game, almost 21 points per game. Sharp scoring 25. So like the conversation with them and their scoring is like, is there a way they can get easier shots and more consistently maintain a rhythm and a healthy diet of good shots to be more efficient? And then all of a sudden it's the scoring goes from slightly inefficient to efficient, 20 to 25 points per 36 minutes level of scoring, which is productive. That's kind of the conversation for both of them. And if Scoot's going to play this way, like he's not making good enough reads as a guy that's just going to shoot a bunch of shots. He's not making good enough reads in terms of like what shots he's getting to. Like there's stuff that he's forcing, just like with Sharp, there's stuff that he forces. And this is kind of an issue in terms of the scoring with both these guys. But with Scoot, it's like Sharp's a scorer. So Sharp, the conversation is, I don't really have much faith in him being a high-level playmaker for others. I felt that way before the season. I feel that way even more so now. The thing with Sharp is, like, can he reduce the level of turnovers that he has where he's not even trying to pass the ball? And then can he find ways to get better shots to where he's a little bit more efficient? Probably take less mid-range shots. He's been abysmal there this year, right? With Scoot, it's more so like, okay, you don't have to go out there and score at the volume that a Shaden Sharp does to be effective. Like, you're supposed to be a guy that's playmaking for others, and you've shown over stretches in your career that you can really pass the ball, so that should not be going away, but it is. So, but then, you look at the way the offense runs and how ISO heavy it is and the lack of shooting, and this isn't an excuse. Like, this isn't an excuse for anybody. You should try and make the right pass. Like, if Matisse Thybulle's open from 3 and there's 3 people in the paint, yeah, you can't rely on him to consistently make threes, but you should still throw him the ball, right? Same thing even with City Sissoko compared to taking a very low percentage 2. I'd rather have a 32% or shooting from 3. That's more points per shot. So you still got to make the right decisions, but it's almost like a mindset thing at times from I don't know, like the Scoot coming off the bench with these guys. Is it just the coaching staff wants him to be aggressive with his shot, and you have a bunch of kind of subpar offensive players on the floor, so they just want him to go out there and try and assert his will as a scorer. Because even his great first halves, it's like he's scoring the ball super well, but he's not really making plays for others. This is just where, like, a new coaching staff, a new offensive system, I'm curious to see what both Shaedon Sharpe and Scoot Henderson look right, because, we've talked about with Shea needing to be more of an off-the-ball guy, and we talked, the way Scoot's playing right now isn't really who he naturally is, in my opinion, so I feel like both of them could be better utilized under a brand new coach and a brand new offensive system that has more role definition. The problem is there is zero role definition offensively for the entire offense. That's why you have Robert Williams shooting top of the arc threes. That's why you have Sidi Sissoko trying to go 1-on-3 in transition. That's why you have Matisse Thybulle chucking a crap ton of threes. That's why you have Chris Murray shooting a bunch of threes. That's why you have Tamani sitting in the corner even though he's a sub 30% three-point shooter from the corner and not cutting. There's no definition to offensive roles outside of like, all right, Denny's our main guy. He's going to create a lot. Oh, he's out. All right, Drew's our main guy now. He's going to create a lot. So,
if you're open from three, shoot it.
Yeah, just the lack of the lack of definition of roles is a major issue, and I think it's contributed to some of the issues this year and some of the poor decision making, guys trying to force, some of the turnovers. At the end of the day, though, like as a player, you just have to try and continue to make the right play. You should not be somebody that's taking awful shots just because you can, in this offense. So that's the frustration with Scoot. Is like, dude, just continue to play off your instincts and make the right play. Yeah.
Well, the frustrating part is he had like 2 or 3 drives when he first came in. He had one where he kind of had a hezzy on the near 3-point corner and went right by the guy, laid it in. He had a couple of drives prior to that that looked pretty good, and you're like, okay, he's being decisive, he's getting to the basket. That dunk last game he had, and then he just has some drives where it looks like he's so unsure of himself, and he like gets in these positions, and like you mentioned, you just know he's not going to make whatever shot he's about to shoot because he's like stumbling, or he's just like not sure if he should shoot or pass or whatever, and so hopefully he can become more consistent with that, because he has had some good drives lately where it looks like, okay, this guy looks confident. He looks like he's getting to the rim. He's using his athleticism a little bit better. And then there's other times where it's just like, man, this guy has no touch, no feel around the rim, just is hucking up shots towards the backboard that have no chance of going in, or that are getting blocked or turning the ball over easily. And unfortunately, just got to be a little more consistent with that, especially if we're counting on him to become part of the offense like that.
Yeah, like in one way, I like that his aggression as a scorer is up. It's just knowing the spots to pick, and I felt like his first 4 games. I said this. I thought he was doing a really good job of picking his spots to score and doing a really good job of picking his spots to pass. The only way Scoot reaches whatever his ceiling is, which is lower than I think people thought when he got drafted, right? But the only way he becomes the best version of himself, whatever that looks like, is if he's consistently picking the right spots to score and pass, because that's going to result in him being the best possible playmaker and the most efficient scorer. If he's being too passive, all of a sudden he's not enough of a threat to score. The defense doesn't have to take him as seriously in terms of a threat to score, and he's not having enough of an impact that way. If he's too aggressive, like how he has been lately, maybe in certain situations, then he's forcing tough shots and not making the right pass. So not only is his playmaking not as good, but because he's forcing tough shots, now he's struggling to maintain a consistent level of efficiency as a scorer. So both those things suffer. So for him, it's finding that balance, and that balance is as simple as just making the right read. If you drive into the paint and you have 3 defenders waiting for you, don't try and force a shot against 3 defenders. They're leaving somebody, make the pass. If you drive and you have a lane to the rim because the paint isn't packed, get all the way to the rim and score. And it just felt, there's a couple drives in this game where it was like, man, he's just going tunnel vision, and it doesn't matter the way the defense is set up. He's just trying to score, get a shot off, and He can't play that way. He's not going to be as effective as possible playing that way. But that's also a product of the offense. So, there's a bunch of things that go hand in hand here where some of the blame can be shared by multiple people, roster construction, coaching staff, player himself, for sure. But yeah. But, people will always say ridiculous stuff. I'm sorry, James, but time to cut losses with Scoot. What is that? How does that help the Blazers? You want Matisse Thybulle playing point guard off the bench? Like anybody that shoots under 55% true shooting should be cut. Like, so we're cutting Sharp because he shoots 55% true shooting percentage. Are we cutting him too? Like is it because of the efficiency? Or like what's the whole reason to cut our losses with Scoot? For what particular reason and what has it accomplished? Like y'all just come in here in the chat and just say stuff that doesn't really make a lot of sense. Love is better than Scoot. Love is literally more inefficient than Scoot. Love was shooting 32% from three as a true shooting percentage of 50%. Scoot is literally more efficient and a better passer and playmaker. People just fall in love with the aesthetics of a player's game. Like, Love's shot, his form, it looks like it should go in. So it only goes in 32% of the time, but it's prettier than City Sissoko. So even though City Sissoko and Caleb Love are very similar caliber players, Caleb Love can hit a tough step back once in a while, and his form looks like it should go in, so we're just going to act like he's a good three-point shooter when he's not. Like, there is nothing statistically that you can point to that Caleb Love is a better player than Scoot Henderson. There's nothing statistically you can point to. So you're just saying it just to say it. This is kind of my point. Like, you're just saying things.
Yep. I mean, there's obviously people who are always going to say that, so.
Yeah, I mean, it's just no thought being put into things. It's frustrating. A point guard that can't shoot is a problem. I mean, Scoot shot over 35% last year. He's had a massive 7-game slump, but he's shooting 33% from three this year. It's a little inconsistent, but he needs to shoot 35% or better, but he did last year. Guess what? Guess who's never shot 35% from three in college or in the NBA or I think even in the G League? Caleb Love. But a lot of you guys pine for him over Scoot, so tired of these conversations, man. Like, y'all so reactionary and surface level with the Scoot stuff. It's frustrating. Anyway. Anybody else you want to talk about?
Not really. we talked about the main guys.
Yeah, I mean, I already kind of ranted about Chris Murray and Thybulle. Yeah. And, Blake Wesley got a few minutes in this game. Yeah. Jason Kemp made a three. Maybe he should start playing more.
Maybe.
Wow, look at Iowa. Florida's in trouble. Trouble.
Florida came back. They were just down 10 a minute, I guess. So.
Oh, I'm behind. Oh, they're down 4. Okay, I saw them down 11.
Yeah.
Yeah, not expect Iowa to play this well.
Oh, Iowa's hit so many back cuts in the last few minutes, and then fumbled the pass or missed the layup or something.
Got blocked. Yeah, Xavier Lee for 3, bang. Alrighty. Oh, you know what we get to do today?
Tankathon.
It's a timeout. Perfect timing because I need to put Tankathon up on the screen. We get to do Tankathon.
Hopefully we are not doing Tankathon tomorrow night.
Do the Clippers play tomorrow night?
I don't know.
Hopefully we are doing Tankathon tomorrow night because we're the 8th seed again. Anyway, Blazers now 12th. Back to 12th. here's the here's the thing. At this point of the season, like the highest they could possibly be is 11th. Like they're not catching Milwaukee. They're 5 games back of them, so they're 11th or 12th best odds. But hopefully 12 is a lucky number today. At 14 we have Miami. At 13 we have Charlotte. At 12 we have your Portland Trailblazers. At 11 we have Golden State. At 10 we have Milwaukee. 9 Chicago. 8 Memphis moving down a spot. 7 Dallas. 6 Utah. And 5 is Sacramento. 4 is Washington. 3 is Brooklyn. So one team moved up a lot. I don't know who yet. 2 is Indiana. And they got the number 1 overall pick. It is the Atlanta Hawks via the New Orleans Pelicans.
Yeah.
The Pelicans have played so well that their pick is 8th best odds now. They're really trying to make that Derek Queen trade look not so bad.
Yeah. But if the pick moves up, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, exactly. And right now, that pick has a basically 40% chance at the top 4 because it's the best in New Orleans plus Milwaukee, so you add their odds together. And would have a 9% chance of the number 1 overall pick. So it's basically as good as it's basically between 5th and 6th in terms of the odds because it's combining these 2 picks. Anyway, that's Tankathon. Blazers play again tomorrow. They are currently a half game back the Clippers. The Clippers also play tomorrow. The Clippers, who do they play? The Clippers tomorrow play the Bucks, who just beat the Suns, but will be on the second night of back-to-back. The Clippers needed overtime to beat the Mavericks, though, to break their 4-game losing streak. I don't know. Clippers are vulnerable, but, I mean, it's probably going to have to come down to we need to beat them twice for that 8th seed, so. So you guys want Burries at 12? I'd be very happy with Burries at 12. I don't think he'll fall to 12.
Yeah.
I think he goes top 10. I've liked Burries all year. He was my first draft crush out of this draft. And that was back when he was a late first, and he's just risen boards. I mean, he is projected 12th on Tankathon. I mean, maybe a team takes a Ment and Phylon and Steinbach ahead of him. Oh, no, Braylon Mullins is projected 12. I was thinking Braden. Braden Burries is projected 16 on Tankathon. I just don't think Tankathon is caught up yet. At 12, I'm taking Burries.
Yeah, now that I thought about it, I've probably taken it. It kind of depends on who's on the board, though.
Here's my short list of guys at 12. That could possibly be there. Braden Burries, Yaxel Lendeborg, Nate Ament, Thomas Houck, Kareem Lopez.
Let me just say, not necessarily for the Blazers, but whoever picks Yaxel in the teens is going to get someone that's going to help them next year.
Yeah, it should be a winning team. He's going to be 24 as a rookie. So like the Spurs at 18, the Thunder have the 15th pick currently from the Clippers. He could go to the Thunder and fit in well there. I mean, the Raptors have the 20th pick. I mean, even the Hornets, because they're basically a winning team now. The Hornet, I actually like him a lot for the Hornets.
Long-term Miles Bridges replacement. Yeah.
Short-term Miles Bridges replacement.
Oh, yeah.
Screw Miles Bridges. I'd like that team a lot more if they had Yaxel instead of Miles Bridges. But yeah. If there's anybody from draft Twitter watching, they're like, "What? You don't have Tyler Tanner on your short list for players at 12?" Oh, well, that's why. That's because he's a top 5 pick. He's not going to be there at 12. Anyway, trolling aside, where do you think Tyler? Where's your draft range for Tyler Tanner realistically? Not listening to the draft Twitter people.
I think at best late lottery, but more like late teens, early 20s is probably his range.
Yeah, I think 20s. I mean, 5'11" point guards don't normally work out too well, so
people say like, "Oh, well, look what he's doing though at his size. Like, it shouldn't matter," but it does when it comes down to the draft process. So
It does when you're talking about if their games translate to the NBA level, which I always think, the spreadsheet draft Twitter people struggle to translate from college to the NBA. That's why they like all these like 6'8" guys that can't shoot. There's always guys like that they like. I will say my top 3 is currently DeBonza, Peterson, Boozer. I finally have a opinion on how to rank those 3, and that's my top 3. Do you have a top 3?
you said that last stream, right?
I was like working through it, but like I didn't
Yeah.
have like a big board. Like if I would just rank them, I was talking about like situationally, who I'd like for who, which still comes into play. But if I had to do a big board right now, I'd go DeBonza, Peterson, Boozer.
I flipped Boozer and Peterson. I had Peterson 3, Boozer 2, AJ 1.
And then fourth, I guess I go Caleb Wilson. I mean, I get it. And then fifth, I might go Burries.
Not a cuff right now, the way he's playing.
I mean, I really, really like a cuff. The defensive stuff, like 6'2", is a little bit of a worry. I really like Burry's athleticism and size with his scoring package.
Mm-hmm.
He's a little bigger than a cuff. He might come in at like 6'3", 6'4". Yeah, I don't know. It's between those two guys at 5 for me.
Just what Acuff's done, like his last handful of games in like tournament conditions, is crazy.
Yeah.
As a freshman,
yeah. But like big board wise, I'd probably go DeBonza, Peterson, Boozer, Wilson, Acuff, Burries.
I still have Fleming's up there too.
Yeah, I've started to worry about some things with him. He's really good, but we're talking about a ton of good prospects. I'm a little worried by like the low rate of threes, how mid-range reliant he is.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of nitpicky stuff. But yeah, I'd probably go Fleming 7, and then after that, I just don't like Walkler. Top 10. He feels like bust potential type guy. I'd probably have Walkler outside my top 10 if I could. And then I still like Sinak a lot. I still like Phylon a lot. Phylon might be like 9. Mikal Brown, I don't know. I mean, he didn't play in the second game of the tournament, which sucked.
It also sucked that Caleb Wilson's been hurt the last couple of weeks. So
yeah, Mikal Brown's been hurt since February. Yeah, probably put Lendeborg like 10th. Put Lendeborg ahead of Walkler right now, and probably ahead of Mikal Brown right now. Still like Kareem Lopez. Yeah, I need to get up to speed. I like Malik Thomas. I know he's projected early second, but I probably have him like 15th to 20th. I like Krivos. Yeah. Anyway, we'll draft talk. Anything else, Eric?
No, thanks everyone for watching. Hope to see you after the Blazers better take care of the Nets tomorrow night.
Better.
Not let this game affect them. And wow.
I'm about to see whatever you just said wow to.
Watching this Iowa Florida game.
I know.
But yeah, thanks everyone for watching. Hope to see you tomorrow night. Have a good night.
Appreciate you guys. Tune in for that stream tomorrow night. after we hopefully talk about a win, hopefully talk about the Blazers being back in 8th place. We'll see if the Clippers lose. But yeah, rough little game for us on a Sunday. Tired of these Sunday games. Is this the last Sunday game for a while? Hopefully, please.
I think they play next Sunday, don't they? They play Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday, I think, right? Or do they have a back-to-back Friday, Saturday next week?
I don't know. They do play Sunday. Actually, I think you're going to have to run that Sunday stream.
Yeah, no problem.
I think the Mariners play like 1. So. And then I'll be driving back. So.
Yeah, it's no problem.
Yeah. Last Sunday game, though. Well, until the final day of the regular season. So we get 1 Sunday off. But, yeah, we got a Friday night. And, so we got Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday. Anyway, yeah, appreciate you guys hanging out with us. See you guys tomorrow night. Leave a like, subscribe, all that good stuff. We are out of here. Blazers lose. They're back to 9th. Yay. Right where we belong. Until next time, as always, peace out. Go Blazers.